All right, let's do it.
What is up, Washington?
It just gets further and further until people are like, this is weird.
This is weird.
This is a weird genre.
What is up, Watch fam? I am Christian from Theo and Harris.
I am Michael.
And today we've got a bunch of watches on the table. We are here at London Jewelers Manhasset Watch Salon, looking at Grand Seiko, looking at Breitling, Patek, JLC, namely. And really the conversation which you put together was some things to think about, before you buy a watch, before you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, or hundreds of thousands of dollars. In many cases, you guys are nuts. You guys have too much money. But people have done videos like this before, and I think that a lot of this stuff, we all know, but I think it's important to kind of remember and to really be cognizant of. Yeah. This is a lot of money. In my view, I mean, I don't know, $500 is, if I find $10 in my pocket, I'm a pretty happy guy.
Yeah.
So I think that before we spend money, we really ought to be thinking a little bit more critically. Yeah. And that's what today's video is about.
You might love the watch.
Yep.
But when you apply the watch to your wrist,
yes,
that might not work.
Very different. It's a very different thing. Yeah. A watch on your wrist or a watch in your style, For example, first of all, what are you wearing? I'm wearing a Patek annual calendar right now.
I am wearing a crazy reverso.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
A two-face reverso. Kind of like you.
A duo. Scumbag.
Our videos slowly start getting more and more passive aggressive.
Oh, that's really funny. I'm wearing a rose gold annual calendar from Patek. This is available through London Jewelers.
That watch is bananas.
I've loved this watch since basically the day I got into watches. Yeah. I love the perpetuals, the 3940, and they're great. But these annuals are a lot more affordable. This is a $26,000 watch as opposed to a $60,000 watch.
Does it? But then you have to take the time and set the watch once a year.
I know. Oh God, how horrible. Oh. So the point of the first note here was, you may love a watch, but do you love it on your wrist or in your life? And this is a great example. This is a Breitling Chronomat. I love this watch.
Yep.
I think the dial, it reminds me of Seinfeld, absolutely. The bullet bracelet. The bullet bracelet is, I don't know, I think it's bizarre. It's tape. The bullet bracelet is gorgeous. It's bizarre. I think it works, and the way that they tapered it in this example, I think is beautiful. This watch comes in like 4 or 5 different dial colors. I just love this. It's Panda, right? It's classic. Yeah. I love the red pop. I love the instrumentation, the depth.
Yep.
Basically, everything about this watch, in my opinion, is fantastic. Even the price point at like $8,000 is great, right?
But
one, it's too big for my wrist, right? Yes. I mean, let's start off here.
And not in a passable way, because it's not, the size of the watch obviously is important, but the lugs overhanging, nobody can do it anymore.
No one can do it.
Everyone's the shape of the watch.
For me, it just doesn't work. I wouldn't feel comfortable wearing this watch, right? I'm never going to sit here and tell you what size you can and cannot wear, or whatever. I don't feel comfortable wearing it. So even though I love it down, I love looking at it on someone else's wrist, I think it's an amazing watch, right? It doesn't work on my wrist. Even a little bit further beyond like size, I really don't wear sports watches. So now we're at another impasse, I may love it, it's great, but am I gonna wear it, right?
Right.
Call me crazy, and some people disagree, and that's just fine, but I like to wear my watches. I like to, I justify sometimes unjustifiable purchases, right? Like, because I'm like, I'll use it. I'll wear it. It'll bring, it'll bring me joy. What's that? The woman that tells you to throw out all your.
Oh yeah, don't bring joy. Marie Kondo.
Marie Kondo, right?
Something like that.
Yeah, it doesn't bring you joy. Throw it out. Yeah. And if you're not going to be wearing it, for me, it's tough to justify it, right?
Yeah.
Other people disagree. That's fine, right?
Yeah.
But we met a guy recently, actually here at London Jewelers.
Yes, we did. Yes.
And he's got a ton of watches and a fantastic collector, knowledgeable, passionate, and everything. He really doesn't wear his most expensive watches.
Incredible collection. Yeah. I think he had a Timex or a Casio on.
Yeah, he was like, I mean, I admire these things, and he was so knowledgeable about them. He's like, I really feel uncomfortable wearing them. I don't know, for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that is so interesting.
If you're into watches, you've seen it. That one guy that has a watch that just hangs over his wrist.
Yep.
But it sticks out. He likes the watch, but
Yep.
it just be cognizant of, if you're fine with that, that's cool.
Right.
If not, you can't make metal work. You can't throw it in the washer and have it shrink down or anything.
Exactly.
You can't do that.
Exactly. So again, this is a fantastic watch. I highly recommend it. If you're looking for a chronograph from a brand with a ton of history, something that is new and modern but still very historical. Right. This is not a reissue, but it's part of their historical
Heritage,
collection.
yeah.
It's hard to beat this piece.
Yeah.
For me, it doesn't work, but I love it. I hope that everyone that likes that they see it because it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But not for me.
Not for you.
Yep. Was that an accent thing? You're making fun of me?
I don't know, actually.
Not for you.
At this point, I don't even notice.
That's horrible.
You walk down the stairs, I push you down the stairs, and I didn't realize it.
You're mocking me.
I'm mocking him.
I'm being mocked.
I'll take the horse on this one, but you take the reins. So I'll charge, you direct.
I don't know what that means.
No one's ever said that to you. Really. I say that to people all the time. I'm sitting in my car. I say, I'll take the horse, you take the reins. And then I dive below the column and I just push the gas with my hands and they have to steer. I have the horse, they have the reins. Do you remember that time?
What is wrong?
Do you remember that time we were driving and we weren't saying anything? I was on my phone, like half asleep, and you go, you roll down your window and you go, sometimes I like to do this. He just sticks his head out the window, just sticks your tongue out, and then you go back in.
This reminded me of the Joker. The Joker, he's driving.
I was like, what do you
Now I'm
mean?
licking my lips like the Joker.
Yeah, Mythotheria.
My father was a drinker.
You think I had the party that does an impression for a very long time?
Tell them about 2 minutes ago in the car with Good Will Hunting.
Oh, Christian was in the middle of telling me a story, and I said
Concurrent?
one word that
Yeah.
reminded him of Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
And you derailed your entire story.
I moved totally away from my story.
2 minutes deep into an impression that I don't even know the reference
Now
of
Michael
anymore.
starts laughing. In the beginning he laughed because the impression was funny, but then the real laughter came in when he realized I wasn't going back to my story. I was knee deep in my
I had to bring
impression.
the story back up.
It was Good Will Hunting, and it was when he sends Ben Affleck's
She's gonna
character.
do it again. You're setting yourself
Ben
up.
Affleck's character.
You probably want to know what I'm
I was
referencing.
going everything. And he's sitting there in the suit with those high socks. He clearly, and Sperry's on. He clearly doesn't look like he belongs in the boardroom. And they think that he's the genius, that he's Will Hunting, but he's not. So he tells them he wants a retainer, and they're trying to hire him. Right? So they're like, we'd love for you to come work for us. And he goes, yeah, we'll get back to that. But your situation would be concurrently improved if I had $200 in my pocket.
See how you can't stop it though? Even
can't
when
stop
I
it.
make note of it, I call it out, you're like, I
Yeah,
know, but I have
yeah.
to get to the good part.
Keep your ear to the grindstone.
If I want to get a watch, there's only one country of origin, right?
Yes, Switzerland.
Right.
Nope. Yeah, it's funny because if you're watching this channel, there's a lot of people who are watching the channel know where we're going with this, right? They
Yeah, of
don't
course.
need to buy a Swiss watch. Many other countries produce watches.
Mm-hmm.
Germany and Japan among the best watches in the world.
Yeah.
So you know that already. But really, more people are watching this video, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there are people that are unfamiliar, and Switzerland makes the best watches. That
Right.
isn't necessarily true, right? That is a broad brush statement that you really shouldn't even entertain.
That is it was in practice a long time ago.
Yes.
And it's one of those things that just stays
Yes.
in the culture of watches.
I think that Switzerland makes the best watches. Like, you need to buy a Swiss watch. It reminds me, it's like all the watch brands, even though they had competing interests, knew their mutual interest was in making Switzerland the place.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, of course.
It was just mutual interest. Very similar to like the cigarette lobbies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all these companies didn't get along. They were competing, but all the cigarette companies, but they all pulled in money, right, to
Yeah.
fight their common enemy,
Right.
which was the
Lugs.
FDA, right? Yeah,
FDA.
and anyway, don't buy that.
Right.
There are, from Nomos, a little old place in Germany, to Grand Seiko, which is one of our absolute favorite brands.
Yeah. The quality is there. And
Beyond there.
beyond there. And what's interesting is Swiss. We're not downplaying Swiss. Swiss
No,
is
no.
basically the foundation of timepieces. Look,
Pretty good Swiss watch.
pretty good Swiss watch. But what's interesting is that with different countries, Japan especially, or Grand Seiko I should say especially, there are also different metrics I'm trying to think of what Grand Seiko calls theirs, but basically going against a chronometer.
The Grand Seiko Standard, I think.
Grand Seiko Standard, yeah. Basically where it's you're looking into a different realm now, because now Japan obviously has to compare themselves to Switzerland, but that doesn't detract from either of them. It just shows you have two different products now.
Right. I think one of the most interesting things about watches is trying to like get in the mindset of the creator, right? It's not just the material itself.
Yeah.
And I was first impressed by Grand Seiko when I got my hands on them and understood the quality.
Yeah.
I didn't love the brand then. I respected them.
Yep.
I fell in love with the brand when I actually started to understand why they are the way they are. What about Japanese culture? Like specifically because they're Japanese.
Right.
Right? And they're products of this culture. That's why the watches are this way, right? That they're the most meticulous people that they are. I mean, and then it's all started to make sense, right? I buy vintage watches, and really the market's best vintage watches come from Japan, right? These are remarkably meticulous, careful people. That
Everything is
respect
upkept.
Everything.
Yeah.
You're buying like this piece of Japanese culture expressed through a medium that we enjoy. Like it's nuts.
It's cool to like the comparison of how they treat their items and then what you buy secondhand from a certain location is cool to think about, like how that plays into items that they are also currently creating.
Oh yeah.
You know?
And the same goes, I think, in vintage cars as well, to my understanding.
Yep.
The best vintage cars in the world come from Japan, you know? It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And we outlined this idea with a famous sushi chef in downtown Manhattan, Chef Nakazawa. You ought to watch that video after this, because that film was awesome. It was incredible to make, but the entire point was...
Something about it though was a little fishy. Couldn't quite put my finger on it.
You're fired.
Done.
You're fired.
You're fired.
It was, you know, that these two geniuses, Grand Seiko and Chef Nakazawa, came from the same culture, and that is why they go about their craft in the same way. And they do.
Yeah.
Right? With this incredible respect and this you know, humility and attention to detail and precision. It's unbelievable. It's the same. So anyway, watch that video. But don't feel like you need to buy a Swiss watch. Be open.
This next one, it's interesting because, you know, at what stage in life really, or I guess at what stage you are in your watch collecting really kind of dictates what you see when you walk into a watch boutique with a lot of brands. When you first start off, when you walk into a watch boutique, you see one brand, maybe two. That's it, even though there's all these other brands.
Right.
So the toughest part, if you're looking for your first watch, for whatever it may be, is figuring out what you like, regardless of marketing, regardless of brand name, regardless of anything, because that's the most important thing at the end of the day. And what I see happens a lot, because it also happened to me, is of course you want the big name, because you want, like if I'm sitting next to you, I want you to say like, oh, is that this brand? Is that that brand?
Yep.
Whatever. That is a reality that doesn't really exist. Everybody, when they get into watches, like, of course there's certain people that will notice your watch, but at the end of the day, it's you and your watch, and you have to like your watch the most. Otherwise, you're gonna just be like reaching for something.
And it never works.
It never works.
Yeah. Now, I agree with you. I think the idea is, you know, knowing why you're buying a watch, buying a particular watch, and social clout is an important thing to understand.
Yeah.
And if you're buying a watch for social clout, you can do that. Of course you can. I buy for social clout, naturally, right?
Drive a G-Wagon.
I drive a G-Wagon, right?
Yeah, right.
We're not impervious to this idea, but I think it's important to know what is driving you to buy something.
Yeah.
And once you can identify those things, some are logical, some are emotional, right? You are going to make a better decision if you're aware, right? That's the important thing. Is it the design? Is it the watch itself? Is it the movement? If I'm interested in movements, what else should I be considering?
Right.
It's all that stuff.
Which we were talking about too, like I'm not going to name names, but there are brands that are just very, very famous brands. And a lot of those brands have very famous models. You can buy that model, but you could also, if you're really brand hungry, you could find a not famous version or a not famous model of a particular brand.
Yeah, if you want to own a piece of that history, you can. You don't need to. You don't need to do X. You can do it at Y. Right. Exactly right.
Yeah, that I think is really interesting, because you can want, like what you're wearing today. If you're wearing a Patek, you could just want that name because you take so much pride in that and the brand in general.
Yep.
you could just want the name, and that's fine.
Yep.
But at that point, then you can do some actual searching in that
Exactly.
line. But if you want the name because you think other people will like to see the name,
Yeah.
that never happens.
Yeah,
If you wear this padding out, 95% of people are not going to.
It's not even 90. It's way more than 95%.
Yeah, true.
I wear some pretty cool watches every day.
You do.
Really do wear some cool watches.
Yeah.
Almost no one ever compliments them.
I wear incredibly expensive jeans. every
No
day.
one cares.
Never a single compliment.
Right, it's got to be about you.
Yeah, it
That's
has
it.
to be. Yeah.
I completely agree. Yeah, like again, it's all about you and where you are mentally, but you have to recognize that it depends on the circles you run in, of course.
Yep.
But in many circles, the clout thing does get old because people simply don't care.
And if you really, really want to ruin that vibe of getting a clout watch, go to a watch meetup.
Everyone has
Done.
it. Everyone and better.
Everyone has that and better.
Yep.
Everyone sees your watch that you got because the name, and
Yep.
they say, "Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool." It's the guy with the watch that he picked out. My favorite brand, Nomos.
Yep.
Unequivocally, not for any.
Yep. Not
endorsements,
a Swiss
nothing.
watch brand.
Not a Swiss watch brand. German. Swiss.
Swiss watch. Unique New York.
Unique New York.
The arsonist has webbed feet.
Thematically, Irish wristwatch.
Thematically Irish wristwatch.
Well, thematically, I meant because of the.
Go f yourself.
But yeah, my favorite brand, Nomos. I just think the designs are incredible. Well, you like that, didn't you? You made a mistake.
I'm an idiot. My grandfather always said that he allowed himself 3 mistakes a year.
Yeah.
So if he was doing something, like if he was hammering something and he hit his hand, even if he was alone, he would say 1. And like let's say that's in March, right?
Yeah.
And then sometime in September, I don't know, he dropped something, he goes 2. And what's funny about it is this man is constantly doing the wrong thing, constantly making mistakes, but he only counts 3 a year.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Right. Find a way to use your watch as a tool to actually feel connected to your watch.
You mentioned that. Tell the
Yes.
story you were telling me.
The story I have is at one point,
Tell the story.
I did one time.
Caught Jesta.
One time I made this woman laugh at work, and she's like probably 2 levels ahead of me in like the corporate structure.
Yeah. So she was an intern.
And she goes, "Tell another funny story." And I was like,
Oh, that's too good.
I was like, what? All the guys like that work with me are dying laughing. She was like, that was hilarious. Tell me another funny story.
Another one.
And she is standing over like the cubicle, like looking at me. She's like, tell another funny story.
Wow. I have one of my best friends. He speaks Polish. So I don't know. That's kind of rare, right? I don't find that.
Not in Poland.
Not in Poland. But in New Jersey, I find it. It's rare, whatever.
Yeah.
So I never ask him to speak Polish because I
Yeah.
know he hates it.
Yeah, right.
But when someone else asks him to speak Polish, like I cringe because I know he's annoyed by it.
Yeah.
He'll make a joke out of it, whatever. But his opinion is like, what? No.
Yeah.
I don't work for you. What am I, a joke?
Yeah, right.
No, you clap your hand. No.
Yeah, right.
And he won't do it. He won't do it. Yeah.
This final story before we get into the final reason. This same person, we were talking to her one day, and she said, I was like, how's your day going at work? I'm getting lunch or something. She goes, horrible. I have to fire my housekeeper today. And I was like, why? She goes, it takes her, I can't say it with a straight face, it probably takes her 2 hours to clean the entire house. And it just gets in our way. And I said, oh, okay, like, well, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna clean it? And she goes, oh, no, if I cleaned it, it would take me weeks. And I was like, so she's pretty fast, right? She was like, well, not like, no. She's not. If you think she's fast, you can hire her.
There are a million people watching this right now. They're like, I don't get it. What is funny about that?
2 hours?
Yeah, it's funny.
Anyways, this changed everything. Not that I haven't done it before, but recently I went back to where I live, or lived. I don't know where I live anymore. Cape Cod.
South
And-
Boston.
South Boston.
South Boston.
Christian tells everybody that I'm from Boston if I need to seem tough.
Boston. South Boston.
He's from Boston.
The Kennefics, they run that Iberian liquor match.
And I just go like this.
Liquor match? What? It's from The Departed. Kennefics, South Boston. They own the. I don't know what the words are, but it sounds like the Iberian liquor badge. I don't know.
I have
don't
no
know.
idea
So
either.
every time I quote it, no one notices that I'm not saying words because it sounds like it.
Yeah,
No idea
words.
what I'm saying.
Oh, that's funny.
Beautiful. I'll call you later and I would love some. Okay. You know what? I'll take that.
I did things without my phone for the entire day. And what's funny is that sounds like a very dumb thing to say, like I didn't use my phone. But the thing that I noticed was that I really felt more connected and appreciative of my watch. Like a lot.
Yeah.
Like I was out on a canoe, just in the middle of the lake, which I would normally bring my phone for pictures or whatever. But it was just enjoyable to be like, oh, it's 5:30. Like that's
Yeah.
it. And I am using my watch because I need to. It's like having a beautiful hammer in your house.
Yeah.
You're just like, I cannot wait till the nail comes out.
Yes.
Or something like that.
Right.
Like that was the first time in a while where I was just like, this is incredible. This is why I love that.
So what is the thing to keep in mind? It's
Take some time to do that. Like
Yeah.
you get this amazing watch. Like
Yeah.
take some time to separate and need your watch.
So this isn't really a pre-sale. This is post-sale.
Yeah, this is once you
I
have your
totally
watch.
agree.
Like take some time to realize like what a watch was for at one point. And it's
Absolutely.
your way of telling time. I had to take a shower. It was an outdoor shower.
Yeah.
And there was just like a ledge like across the shower. I just put my watch there and I was just like showering outside. It was beautiful. I just had the time and
Yeah.
I was like, that is great.
This is
Like,
amazing.
my phone can do the same thing. but
showered
it's way
outdoors?
better. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. You never done it?
Wow.
I say it like I've done it more than once. That's the first time.
No,
It's
no,
great.
No,
yeah.
no.
There's obviously an enclosure. Otherwise, I would never do it.
Yeah.
Have my four bathing suits on at the same time.
Yeah, right. All of my watches have like very specific times in my life that I associate with
yeah.
them. I'm open to buying another watch now. Kind of moving into. I'm 26, and I feel like I'm moving into kind of beginning of real adulthood. And
Yeah.
I'm building business, and
Yeah.
like I'm open to buying a watch right now because I know that these are going to be some very important moments in my life.
Right.
And I want to share them with a watch.
Right. Yeah.
It's amazing.
It is.
Like,
It's
I love this watch more than I like it.
right.
You know what I mean?
Right,
Like at this
right.
point, I love this more than I like it.
You finally hit it. Not you specifically. General, you hit a point where you're like, I won't sell this watch.
Yeah.
I like. Even if I don't like want to wear it today,
Yeah.
it's part of me now.
Yes.
That's what's really.
That's a
like,
beautiful thing.
That's a very romantic watch thing. Obviously, they're very utilitarian, but going back to do that, like if you go out on a date or something,
Yep.
you don't bring your phone,
Yep.
and you just have that to go
Yep.
by with time. You'll get lost,
Yeah.
and feel great.
Yeah.
You know.
My date. I don't wear my date just that much anymore. I wear it, once a week.
Yep.
Which is still pretty. Like it's in the rotation. I don't wear it that much. And that watch to me is not now anymore. It's not. That watch is not now.
Right.
When I wear that watch, it's college.
Right.
It's starting the business.
Right.
And that's what it'll always be. But it's a period of time that you go back to. So anyway, that's a beautiful thing about watches. That's a great note to end on.
Yes.
Come visit London Jewelers here in Manhasset. They have locations in East Hampton as well, Southampton, and in New York City in the Oculus. This is our authorized dealership partner, and we love them here. So
Yeah.
so stop in, say hello, tell them that we sent you if you'd like, and
Go live your life. You know what? Find someone to take the reins.
good, and dunk onto the thing and hit the gas. And
You go right
someone
under
else
right under the
Makes no
wheel.
sense.
Both hands down.
Never do
press.
that to me.